I built an empire, and now I'm counting weeks. Buildings still carry my name. Boardrooms still wait for my opinion. People still stand when I enter a room. But last Tuesday, the doctor did not stand. He did not flatter me. He did not negotiate. He did not ask about my portfolio. He looked at me the way you look at something temporary, and he said, "We're looking at weeks. Weeks. Just weeks. Do you know what weeks feel like when you've spent your life planning decades?" I have private rooms, specialists on speed dial, access to anything money can arrange, and none of them can arrange more time. When I was 32, I thought poverty was the enemy. At 45, I thought obscurity was the enemy. At 60, I thought slowing down meant dying. I was wrong. The real enemy was postponement. My name is Jonathan Hale. I'm 72 years old, and wealth did not save me. Preparation was my religion, risk management my vocabulary. If something could be anticipated, I prepared for it. Funds allocated, safeguards layered, exposure minimized. What I never allocated to was margin. Track performance cycles, expansion phases, growth curves. I did not track how many dinners I missed. I missed birthdays, but covered tuition in full. I skipped dinners, but secured mortgages. I postponed vacations, but finalized acquisitions. Each decision sounded rational, responsible, strategic. I told my wife, just a few more years. Years stretched quietly. I told my children, this is for your future. Eventually, invitations stopped requiring follow-up. I told myself, I'll slow down once I'm stable. Stability came. Stillness did not. Ambition rarely announces itself as obsession. It introduces itself as responsibility. Sacrifice now, freedom later, but later keeps retreating. There was always another contract to close, another target to reach, another milestone to secure. Enough. I never defined enough. The diagnosis arrived without spectacle, no dramatic collapse, no flashing lights. Only fatigue I rationalized, pain I accommodated, appointments postponed because timing mattered. It is remarkable how someone can restructure industries yet refuse to restructure priorities. When the scan results appeared, the room felt smaller. The doctor chose his words carefully. For the first time in decades, I had no leverage. That was the moment clarity arrived. Achievement does not shield you. It occupies you. It fills your calendar long enough for the essential to become optional until it is urgent. Wealth secures comfort, efficiency, access, discretion. It secures quiet when necessary. It does not secure reversal, repair, closeness, time. I attempted to use it anyway. Specialists in different cities, experimental procedures, private consultations. I moved into a private suite. Subdued lighting, attentive nurses, controlled silence. Strange how privilege can feel fragile. Illness does not examine credentials. What unsettles a powerful man is not loss of assets, it is dependence. Assistance to stand, to breathe evenly, to sit upright in a house he financed but may not leave again. I once negotiated terms that redirected markets. Now I negotiate milligrams. I once dictated schedules. Now I wait for instructions. The adjustment is humbling. The one thing I deferred, presence, is now the only thing that feels valuable. My daughter sits beside me. She's 38. I did not witness the years assembling her adulthood. There are lines near her eyes I never saw forming. She speaks about her children, my grandchildren, and I recognize their birthdays, but not their laughter patterns. Not the questions they ask at night. That recognition weighs more than the prognosis. My wife still holds my hand. She remained steady when I prioritized expansion over evenings. When work followed us into rooms meant for rest, she stayed. Now she sits beside this bed as if proximity might influence inevitability. I constructed an empire, yet I subcontracted living. Operations were delegated, logistics assigned, strategy outsourced. Somewhere in that efficiency, attention thinned, listening diminished, unrushed conversation disappeared. When the horizon shortens, life becomes accounting. You examine it carefully. What mattered, what faded, what was overlooked. The most valuable assets never required signatures. I believed time could be compressed, family into weekends, rest into holidays, affection into gestures. Connection does not survive compression, it survives repetition. Ordinary evenings, unremarkable mornings, moments that feel insignificant until they are inaccessible. When I heard weeks, valuations did not cross my mind. I thought about the last conversation without distraction, the last walk without urgency, the last meal without a screen between us. The experiences I minimized were the ones that made me alive. Wealth expanded comfort. It did not deepen attachment. Now each morning feels deliberate, each breath counted. Ambition constructs structures. Excess ambition erodes foundations. Erosion is gradual. You notice it only when something fractures. I built something impressive. I neglected something irreplaceable. The tragedy is not departure. The tragedy is postponement. Living as though the ending were theoretical. It is not. It is certain. Some are simply informed sooner. Here is what approaching the end makes unmistakably clear. You are not competing with other people. You are moving against erosion. Erosion does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It reduces things quietly. Stamina, patience, connection, clarity. Until one day you notice something essential has faded. Pressure accumulates. Distance stretches. Small compromises gather consequence. And when the cost becomes obvious, there is no reimbursement. I believed intensity was temporary, that long hours would be corrected later, that sacrifice would convert into freedom. Life does not rebalance itself on your behalf, it keeps a record. I assumed wealth would soften reality. Instead, it postponed my confrontation with it. Productivity carries a subtle deception. It convinces you that motion equals meaning, but motion can be escape. You can remain active for decades and never sit still long enough to examine what you are exchanging. If you are listening in your 30s, you assume durability. You trust your body. You trust the future. You assume repair is always available. If you are in your 40s, you believe you are coordinating everything successfully: career, family, ambition. You feel capable. What you are actually doing is bargaining with limits you cannot see. If you are in your 50s, you tell yourself stability is close, almost finished, almost ready, almost able to breathe. Almost has a way of stretching into years. Let me offer this gently. Security without presence becomes elegant emptiness. A home can be impressive while its owner feels absent inside it. Recognition can expand while intimacy quietly contracts. Achievement can rise while connection thins. I am not criticizing ambition. Build something worthwhile. Just do not disappear while doing it. There is a difference between supporting a life and participating in it. Money can fund opportunity. It cannot substitute attention. It can provide resources. It cannot provide you. The people you love will not remember the invoices. They will remember whether you were available. Absence, repeated often enough, becomes normal. That is erosion at work. Yesterday I walked slowly through my house, slower than I ever have. The art, the marble, the awards arranged carefully, photographs from events I barely recall. Everything polished, everything quiet. Nothing responded to my fear. Nothing asked whether I was afraid. But my grandson did. He climbed onto the bed beside me, careful as if I might fracture. He touched the oxygen tube and asked, "Grandpa, are you going somewhere?" Children do not rehearse their questions. They speak plainly. I tried to reassure him, and realized reassurance requires certainty. For the first time in my life, certainty is gone. I have a number. It is measured in weeks. Influence cannot adjust it. Money cannot extend it. In that moment, every victory felt temporary, every milestone insignificant. All I wanted was more ordinary time. Unrushed evenings, unremarkable mornings, conversations without urgency. When the horizon narrows, wealth redefines itself. Wealth becomes presence. Nothing else qualifies. I'm not angry. Anger requires blame. I'm not resentful. Resentment assumes injustice. I'm aware. And awareness this late feels heavy. It is like discovering the map after reaching the edge. If I had accumulated less but experienced more, I would choose differently. If I had protected my calendar with the same discipline I protected my assets, I would choose differently. But life does not reverse. It continues. So this is not regret-seeking sympathy. It is clarity offered while there is still margin. If you are building something, continue. Just do not sacrifice your health for numbers that cannot sit beside you. Do not exchange presence for recognition that cannot hold your hand. When you hear the word weeks, valuation will not matter. Status will not matter. You will ask, who did I truly show up for? Who knows me beyond my achievements? Which moments did I rush past? Memory is the only asset that appreciates at the end, and it must be lived in real time. Time does not shout. It speaks in fatigue and postponed calls and missed gatherings and deferred rest. Most of us ignore it until it becomes final. And when it concludes, it does not negotiate, it closes. If you are earlier in your journey, you possess something extraordinary, choice. Use it carefully. One day you will count differently, not in years, not in profits, but in moments. Choose accordingly. If this story stirred something in you, do not scroll past it. Pause today. Call someone. Sit longer. Choose presence once. And if reflections like this matter to you, subscribe to When Time Speaks. Because sometimes clarity arrives through someone else's ending. Until next time, listen closely. Time is already speaking.